Have you ever stood in the middle of a crowded room, surrounded by music and laughter, and felt absolutely nothing but the urge to leave? Society has a name for people like you. They call you antisocial. They call you shy, withdrawn, or boring. They ask you questions like, why are you so quiet, or why don't you put yourself out there more? But here is the truth that the loud majority will never understand. In psychology, the hatred of parties, small talk, and forced social gatherings is rarely a sign of a social deficit. It is often a marker of high intelligence, deep empathy, and a brain that is wired for something far more significant than temporary pleasure. While the world is busy chasing the next dopamine hit in a crowded room, you are preserving your energy for things that actually matter. You aren't broken. You are simply operating on a different operating system. Today, we are decoding the psychology of people who hate going to parties and why this trait might be your greatest hidden power. The sensory gating mechanism, it starts with biology. Your brain physically processes the world differently. Psychologists refer to this as sensory gating. In extroverts, the brain dampens incoming stimuli, lights, noises, and multiple conversations are filtered out easily. But for those who hate parties, the gate is wide open. You absorb everything. The reframing, this isn't a weakness, it is a state of hyper-awareness. While others are numb to their environment, you are acutely gathering data. The impact, you are not overwhelmed because you are weak, you are overwhelmed because you see everything. The depth deficit, most parties rely on what sociologists call phatic communication, better known as small talk. How is work? Crazy weather, right? To a complex mind, this feels physically painful. Your brain craves substantive conversation. You operate on a level of depth that surface-level banter cannot satisfy. When you are forced to discuss trivialities, your brain perceives it as a waste of cognitive resources. The reframing, you don't hate talking, you hate wasting words. You are a miner looking for gold, but parties only offer dust. The impact, silence is better than meaningless noise. The acetylcholine preference, why do some people love the chaos of a club while you prefer a quiet book or a close friend? It comes down to neurotransmitters. Extroverts rely on dopamine, the chemical of reward seeking and external stimulation. However, introverts and deep thinkers rely more heavily on acetylcholine. This neurotransmitter is released during focused, internal activities, thinking, reading, and concentrating. The reframing, a party cuts off your supply of well-being. You are not boring for staying home, you are biologically incentivized to seek focus over chaos. The impact, you don't need the crowd to feel alive. The spotlight effect, inversed in psychology, the spotlight effect usually refers to the anxiety that everyone is watching you. But for people who hate parties, there is often a reverse phenomenon at play, hypervigilance. You are often the observer in the room. In a chaotic environment, you feel the need to track social dynamics, body language, and potential threats. This consumes a massive amount of mental energy, known as social battery drainage. The reframing, your reluctance to attend parties is a protective measure for your energy. You are an elite observer, and elite observers cannot function in high interference zones. The impact, your energy is a currency, and you refuse to spend it on cheap entertainment. High need for cognition, there is a personality trait in psychology called need for cognition, NFC. People high in NFC enjoy complex problem solving and abstract thinking. A typical party environment offers very little cognitive stimulation. It is repetitive, loud, and predictable. For a high NFC individual, a party is the equivalent of staring at a blank wall for 4 hours. The reframing, boredom at parties is a sign of an active, hungry intellect. You aren't avoiding fun, you are avoiding stagnation. Great minds are rarely found in the center of the dance floor. The authenticity filter, people who dislike parties often score high on authenticity. Social gatherings require what psychologists call self-monitoring, the ability to change your behavior to fit the social situation. It requires wearing a mask, faking smiles, and laughing at jokes that aren't funny. To you, this feels like lying. The reframing, your hatred for parties is actually a commitment to truth. You refuse to perform for an audience. You would rather be disliked for who you are than accepted for a performance. The impact, you don't wear masks, so you avoid the masquerade. Environmental sensitivity, this is linked to the concept of environmental psychology. You are likely sensitive to the vibe or atmosphere of a room. Crowded places are often filled with conflicting energies, anxiety, lust, aggression, insecurity. If you are highly empathetic, you don't just see these emotions, you absorb them. The reframing, avoiding parties is an act of emotional hygiene. You are protecting your inner peace from the chaotic emotional output of strangers. The impact, you guard your peace like a fortress. The quality over quantity ratio, evolutionary psychology speaks of Dunbar's number, which suggests humans can only maintain a certain number of stable social relationships, around 150. People who hate parties often prefer a small circle strategy. You invest heavily in 2 or 3 deep connections rather than spreading yourself thin over 50 acquaintances. Parties are the enemy of deep connection, they are designed for width, not depth. The reframing, you are not antisocial, you are selectively social. You prioritize loyalty and bond over popularity and visibility. The impact, a lion walks alone or with a pride, it does not walk with the herd. The autonomy imperative: a party is a collective experience. You eat when others eat, dance when others dance, and leave when it's socially acceptable. People who prefer solitude value autonomy. You desire full control over your time and your actions. Being stuck in a conversation you can't escape triggers a psychological trap response. The reframing: your avoidance of parties is a declaration of independence. You refuse to let social pressure dictate your schedule. The impact: true freedom is the ability to say no. The introspective loop: you likely possess a rich inner life. While extroverts look outward for entertainment, you have an entire universe inside your head. You are constantly processing memories, future plans, and philosophical concepts. A loud party interrupts this internal dialogue. The reframing: you are self-sufficient. You do not need external noise to distract you from yourself because you actually like the person you are alone with. The impact: you are your own best company. Aversion to status signaling: modern parties are often arenas for social signaling. People go there to be seen, to wear specific clothes, and to post on social media to prove they are having fun. If you hate parties, you likely view this performance as trivial. You are immune to the fear of missing out, FOMO, because you see the game for what it is, a status competition. The reframing: you have transcended the need for external validation. The impact: you don't need a picture of the night to know your worth. Confidence is silent, insecurities are loud. The HSP trait: approximately 20% of the population are highly sensitive people, HSPs. This is a genetic trait, not a disorder. It means your nervous system is more reactive to stimulation. In a party setting, an HSP reaches their tipping point of arousal much faster than the average person. The reframing: this sensitivity is tied to higher creativity and intuition. The same trait that makes you hate loud music makes you excellent at art, strategy, or understanding human nature. The impact: your sensitivity is the source of your insight. Future time perspective: psychologists distinguish between present hedonistic people, who live for the moment, and those with a future time perspective. You likely look at a Friday night party and calculate the cost, the hangover, the money spent, the lost sleep, the wasted Sunday. You prioritize your long-term goals over short-term gratification. The reframing: you are not a killjoy, you are a strategist. You are investing your time, not spending it. While they recover, you get ahead. The value of silence: in a noisy world, silence is a luxury. Psychological studies show that silence can stimulate new cell growth in the brain, neurogenesis. People who avoid parties often have an intuitive understanding of the restorative power of quietude. The reframing: you use silence to recharge and heal. While others run from silence because they are afraid of their thoughts, you embrace it. The impact: silence is not empty, it is full of answers. The Sigma independence: finally, this behavior aligns with the archetype often referred to as the Sigma male or female. This personality type exists outside the traditional dominance hierarchy. They don't want to lead the pack, and they don't want to follow it. The party is the ultimate symbol of the hierarchy: who is popular, who is attractive, who is loud. The reframing: by not going, you win the game. You show that you do not need the tribe's approval to survive. The impact: you are the master of your own path. If you found yourself nodding along to these points, understand this. There is nothing wrong with you. The anxiety or annoyance you feel when invited to a party is not a defect. It is your intuition telling you that you are in the wrong environment for your specific set of skills. The world is designed for the loud. It rewards the ones who can shout the loudest and fake the widest smiles. But civilization was built by the thinkers, the planners, and the observers who stayed home to work while the others went out to play. You do not need to apologize for your nature. You do not need to force yourself into a mold that doesn't fit. Your power lies in your selectivity, your depth, and your ability to stand alone. Embrace the quiet. That is where you are strongest. If you want to understand the darkest and deepest corners of the human mind, you are in the right place. Subscribe to Psychology Decode. Let's decode your potential together.